I've heard the song Twinkle Twinkle Little Star countless times in my life, but it's rarely sounded as beautiful as when I heard it in January 2010 through a pair of computer speakers. It's the sound of progress, the sound of reaching a goal. And yet if you told me back in August 2009 that everything I thought I knew about technology and education was about to change, I wouldn't have believed you. Like any good lesson plan, we were asked to assess our surroundings for areas of improvement. I was thrilled. I identified several areas in need of improvement, but seeing that I could only choose one opportunity for growth, I chose the one that I believe would make the greatest change in helping my students find success. Students in my 7th grade class have the opportunity to learn to play guitar. I spent about a quarter of the class developing skills and practicing for achievement. However, more than 50% of the students have trouble focusing on goals for guitar and collaborating to solve challenges. For my AR project, I wanted to see if students could increase focus and collaboration by 40% through blogging and critiquing peer performances on an insight. I could see that this topic is the hook that will hold the band, orchestra, and other instrumental music programs of America from falling into the dark abyss we call history. But that's pretty lofty, so I'll say this. First of all, the common statistic that only 10% of students that begin an instrument stay with it is detrimental to school music programs throughout the country and to the future of the arts community as a whole. To further demonstrate the need to motivate young students, we can look at the previous generation. It is a good possibility that nearly every music teacher has heard many parents saying things like, "Oh, I love the piano, I wish I had stuck with it." Bringing a new way to help students overcome frustration and a way to collaborate with peers may encourage students to continue their studies and achieve greater success. The basis of the study was to engage students in a way that could help them learn from one another and see their achievements over time. In my school, blogging still has a high novelty factor because it has not been widely used. I tried to make learning fun for students by integrating a social aspect to what is traditionally seen as a serious individual process. I was surprised to find that there were very few articles about blogging in the music classroom. I could not find a single article about blogging for music practice and goal setting. The information that I did find about using technology and blogging for other school subjects supported my topic. In 2008, it was found that 93% of teens use the internet for school-related activities. However, there is a disconnect with the statistic in non-core class use of technology. The 2008 survey of Ohio music teachers reported that the main use of technology in the music classroom was burning CDs or teacher planning. Furthermore, a recent Remington demonstrated that less than 30% of computer use in the music classroom was for student learning. Bowers and McAllister confirmed that because many music teachers felt tentative about their skills, they were reluctant to use music-related technology with their students. This was clear evidence that more involvement of technology is needed in the music classroom. Blogging itself was shown to increase writing and thinking skills. McBride and Lackman found that students took more responsibility for their learning and for helping others when using blogs than without. This was a particularly important point for my district, where student reading and writing levels are below average. Also, many of the students are reluctant to try when they don't believe it applies to their lives. Motivation was perhaps the most important factor that supported my topic. In 2004, Costa Giomi confirmed that the main reasons for students to discontinue music lessons were lowered motivation and diminished achievement. Jensen noted the importance of having students write down their goals for internal motivation. Writing down goals, the learners can measure themselves. Furthermore, goal setting with a blog provides an opportunity for reflection, which is essential in skill development. Considering these findings and the lack of projects like this one, my contribution to the body of literature is unique and potentially useful to others. As mentioned earlier, many music teachers are reluctant to integrate technology. In its most basic stages, blogging requires a relatively low skill level of technology, and because it's similar to the word processing technology used by many music teachers, it may be a feasible solution to integrating technology without overwhelming teachers with technical aspects. As such, this project may demonstrate a stepping stone of sorts to integrate technology. On a deeper level, inviting students to blog creates a friendly community for learning instead of constant competition, as can be the case in an instrumental classroom setting. This project also contributes to the current trends of engagement and assessment in learning. Dorfman's survey proved that much of the technology used by students in the music classroom was of limited student engagement. As we've learned time and again, engagement is the key to students' learning. Carlin and Guthrie noted the importance of engagement in keeping students involved in the learning process. Thus, it is increasingly important that we find engaging tools for our students no matter what discipline we are teaching. The Ning site added an interactive component to the otherwise isolated realm of learning an instrument. Furthermore, the capabilities of a Ning site mirror other trends in e-learning, such as PLEs and gaming. The Ning site was similar to a PLE in that it was a centralized location of learning that allowed for individualization, differentiation of learners, and a chance for communication with others. I also appreciated the aspects that related to gaming, such as the personalization of the student's own space, and more importantly, the ability to measure learning and progress without assigning a letter grade. My original idea underwent several changes throughout the course of the project. When designing the project, I was careful to find a site that would assist students in reaching the instructional goals set. I decided to create a Ning site because of its community setup, capability of posting music clips, and ease of use. Before I knew it, consent forms were signed and collected, students signed a blogging etiquette contract, and had posted their first blogs. Students were extraordinarily excited and even took initiative to blog on their own outside of school. Students also blogged about other musical and non-musical topics. More than anything, the first cycle was eye-opening. Cycle 1 was inspiring in that students were excited about blogging and seemed to gain motivation and peer help from it. I was able to guide students to reflect about their learning and connect with one another in a new way. I was surprised at how difficult it was to schedule blogging time. Students took much more time to blog than I had anticipated, and it proved to be somewhat of a disruption to the regular curriculum. I also found that students were either confused as to whom to respond to on the blog, or spent time responding to friends instead of those who had similar level of playing. Cycle 2 held even more challenges. Because of these challenges, Cycle 2 was a turning point in my project. Despite being the most frustrating cycle, this was the cycle that taught me the most about research and the importance of being able to think creatively. Students in this cycle were moderately excited to blog and were comfortable using the internet and communicating online. However, the constraint of time and limitations of technology made it difficult for students to actually use the Ning site. Class did not have regular access to computers, the music player on the Ning site would not upload, and to top it all off, I was having some publishing issues with iWeb and therefore could not upload musical clips of the students playing for peer critique either. When Ning finally did fix the music uploader and player, I found that my school's internet filter didn't allow the music files in the Ning site to play. The fact that many students did not have internet access at home meant assigning the blog entries outside of school was not an option either. Many students accomplished a great deal on guitar in a short amount of time, but were not able to reflect on the blog due to the aforementioned difficulties. The insights from my first two cycles encouraged me to change several aspects of the third cycle. In order to help students focus on whom to respond to and what to discuss, I put students in skill-based groups. It also allowed me to make prompts more specific to given issues at each level of playing. More importantly, it allowed the students to dialogue about their issues and triumphs based on their level of guitar progression. In trying to address the time management issue, I had students blog throughout the week in small numbers instead of blogging simultaneously on pre-scheduled days. This somewhat alleviated the problem, but several students were unhappy when I asked them to blog during their regularly scheduled guitar practice time. I'm still under the impression that this idea would work better in a class that is longer than 9 weeks. If I were to have another cycle, I would try another solution to the time issue by assigning students a day of the week to blog during their guitar time and set the expectation as a standard part of their routine. Overall, though some of my predictions were validated, many of my expectations were challenged. Time, technology, and resources proved to be limited and problematic. Learning is, of course, a process, and as the cycles progressed, I changed the variables of implementation in an attempt to improve the effectiveness of the end evaluation. Despite some setbacks throughout the 3 cycles, I still feel that this idea can be beneficial to students. I'd like to do a further study involving my summer group of private lesson students who do not have peers readily available to study with. I may also continue trying new techniques in my own classroom to improve upon the idea. Undergoing the process of creating an action research project has added a wealth of knowledge and inspiration in my teaching. I've experienced the importance of engagement in learning. I'm also prepared to make better use of online resources for student-peer interaction and higher-order thinking. Also, I'm better able to gauge student learning through authentic assessment. I've always enjoyed research, but after actually doing research, I feel better equipped with background knowledge and ideas of what works and what doesn't. I've seen the benefits of research in my students' learning, and I'm inspired to do more.